The gap closing component ensures that all of Ohio students can be successful. This shows how well schools are at meeting performance expectations for the most vulnerable student populations in English language arts, math, and graduation. The state has identified the fact that achievement gaps exist between different subgroups of students, and it is our job to close those gaps. So these gaps might exist within groups based on income, race, ethnicity, or disability. And it's our job to close the gaps for these at risk populations. The gap closing grade is calculated by comparing academic performance of each subgroup to the expected performance goals for the subgroup so that the state is measuring our improvement and they can identify any gaps we may have in meeting the needs or closing the gaps of students that are at risk in those subgroups. The next component is graduation rate. And graduation rate actually looks at the percentage of students who successfully finish high school with the diploma in 4 or 5 years. So the 4 year graduation rate is 60% of the component score, and the 5 year graduation rate is 40% of the component score. So the 4 year graduation rate includes only students who earn diplomas within 4 years of entering ninth grade for the first time, while the 5 year graduation rate includes students who graduate within 5 years of entering ninth grade for the first time. If you look down at the bottom of under the 4 year and 5 year graduation rate, I talked about how both of those are calculated. And something that you'll see in both of those explanations are the mention of a term called the adjusted group. So I included some information down at the bottom about the adjusted group so you just have an understanding of what that means and how students are included in the adjusted group. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just think that this information might be useful to you as, a high school teacher. This isn't part of this isn't a focus or one of the objectives of this presentation. But again, as a high school teacher, this may be useful information. So if you want to check that out later, that would be useful. The next component is improving at-risk K-3 readers. And this component forces us to ask ourselves, how successful are we at getting struggling readers on track to proficiency in third grade and even beyond that? In order to answer those questions, we have a few different assessments that are administered in each district. The first is a reading diagnostic given to all students in grades K through 3 at the beginning of each school year. And the second assessment is the Ohio State third grade English language arts test given in third grade twice during the school year. And that test is what tells us if students are proficient or not. This component grade is based on the percentage of students in the following groups. And to basically sum that up, if a student is not on track at the beginning of one year, we want to make sure that they are on track at the beginning of next year. And we measure whether or not they're on track based on those reading diagnostics given at the beginning of each school year. So each time we have a child starting not on track at the beginning of, let's say, kindergarten, for example, and then they start first grade on track, the district is showing that we are successfully meeting the needs of struggling readers and getting them on track to proficiency in third grade. So that talks a little bit about how that improving at-risk K-3 readers component score is calculated. The last component is prepared for success. And this component looks at how well prepared Ohio students are for success in their future and beyond high school. This component score is calculated by adding the total number of points a district earns and dividing that by the number of total students in adjusted classes. And as you'll see, there are quite a few ways that students can earn points for the district. The total number of points each student can earn is 1.3